Did he not have any thoughts or desires or feelings in his mind whatsoever?
I think that's what some people would absolutely believe.
Well, they do, and that's part of the Ramana myth, the big Ramana myth. And that's a very convenient myth because that's created by people who have no self-confidence and who are lazy. And so they want to make Ramana into some great big incredible thing and think that I couldn't possibly be like that. So they don't really try to realize who they are. They just worship this form or this deity or this incredible person who supposedly got lucky or whatever it was. Ramana was a normal guy. He just happened to find out who he was at 17. Where is his authority to teach self-inquiry if he didn't do self-inquiry?
There's a very biased record available of what Ramana is like. The books that you get in the West tended to be written by the lawyers, the doctors, the people who had writing talents who could find a publisher. So they tended to describe their visits to the old hall where Bhagavan sat and answered philosophical questions, told people to do self-inquiry or told stories. The people who worked in the kitchen were for the most part illiterate, so they didn't really ever get round to writing books or telling their side of the story. So in a sense, yes, it's a one-sided image of Bhagavan. Everyone I've spoken to who knew Bhagavan personally has told me the books give a misleading picture. They just don't tell you how strict, how severe, how randomly angry he got. People sit down and they write down, I walked into the hall and he looked at me and I was in peace and bliss.
That's right.
And somehow they cross out the 25 occasions he screamed at them don't get reported. So, Lakshmana Swami told me this, for example. He said you just never knew who he was going to turn on, for what reason. See, at each particular moment, he's reacting to what's going on in somebody's mind. And if I start screaming at you, people will think, well, what did he say, what did he do? But with Ramana, it's what's in his head in that moment. So what was going on externally is often nothing to do with how Ramana is reacting to you. He's seen, felt something that's going on inside you, some attitude, something. And quite randomly he would just look at someone and really abuse them for nothing they'd done, just something he could see in that man he needed to be abused at that moment. Lakshmana Swami said he was watching Bhagavan walk across the courtyard by the dining room, seeing a man from Madras feed puffed rice to a peacock. Now that should have scored some points with Bhagavan. He liked people taking care of the animals. He just looked at this man and screamed at him and said, go back to your court in Madras, you don't even know how to feed peacocks properly. What was going on? Who knows? Something was going on in that man's mind as he was feeding the peacocks, and Bhagavan screamed at him. People tell me this is what happened all the time.
But the thing that's interesting for me, you see, is that the picture you're painting now is much more like the picture that I personally have of Papaji,
right.
And the picture one gets of sort of Zen masters, the way they treat their disciples.
Yeah.
And this sort of idealistic picture of the silent man on a couch with beautiful eyes suddenly is really only a rather faint kind of impression about him.
I think probably he was that very rare conjunction of saint and jnani.
So he didn't think he was special. We're making Ramana special. That's what our own spiritual inadequacies are causing us to project Ramana as some amazing, incredible, fantastic being. But whenever you talk the truth, you run up against the myths. That's the important point. Because this is a non-dual reality. You're just as valuable as Ramana. You're just as important as Ramana. I'm just as important as Ramana. Why? Because everything's Ramana. There is no difference here between people. You know, and human beings have this amazing, amazing need for status. You know, they just continually, they're always in this dualistic thing. I'm better than you. This one's better than that. We try to organize our whole existence on the basis of small up to big.